Hello, everybody. Welcome to the electronic research video. This video is part of the Legal English Writing series. So in this video, what you'll be learning, what we'll be discussing is electronic research. So the goals and objectives. We'll talk about the basic process of online research or electronic research, searching, browsing, and limiting the results through filters. So again, searching, browsing, filtering. Then we'll talk about creating well-crafted searches using terms and connectors. Then we will jump into some examples in Westlaw. We'll use Westlaw, and I will show you the basic interface of Westlaw, and we'll do some basic searches in Westlaw. So the basic process of researching. What used to happen is you would, if you were doing case search, you would use books. And you would see an entire wall of the common law with reference to the United States. But now, basically, everything is done online. And the two major sources or databases online are Westlaw and LexisNexis. And to a certain extent, Hein Online is another database. So when we're searching, we use what's called terms and connectors. Right? You may have seen this at some point. Search terms and searching operators, terms and connectors. So what does this mean? Well, a term is a term. It's a word, vocabulary. So we talked about using the vocabulary that we're gathering from our searching from a previous video. So that is our terms. Connectors refers to search operators. It allows the researcher to kind of limit the results to only those that are relevant to us. So what are these operators? So and is one. The effect of using and is that the search result will only return documents that contain both of those terms. So, for example, budget and deficit. If you search for budget, you would get everything that included budget. If you search for deficit, the same thing. But budget and deficit will give you a subset of those that only contain both of those words. Another operator is the or operator. So what does or do? Or returns documents that contain either term. So, for example, ship or vessel. You could use this as synonyms. Also, although these database services will automatically include synonyms in search terms. But So for example, if you want to search ship or vessel, it'll give you everything that came up with ship and everything that came up with vessel. Of course, it includes those that include both ship and vessel, but it also expands it to those who only contain ship and only contain vessel. Not, N-O-T. So what is not doing? Not returns documents containing the first term, but excludes the second term, the term after not. So you might see a search for apple, not fruit. So what this will do is take, how I think of it is, it'll return the documents that have apple and then subtracts the documents that contain fruit. So it'll capture everything in the first term and then subtract everything in the term after not. So you'll see an operator that's a slash or /s. What this does it will return documents with both terms in the same sentence. So for example, you might have sanctions and then /s frivolous. Right? So what it does is it will look where sanctions and frivolous occur in the same sentence and return those documents. So this kind of limits the search result in that sometimes you don't want terms that could be found throughout the document. You only want those terms if they're next to each other. Similarly, you might have the operator /p. This returns documents with both terms in the same paragraph. So, for example, you could have custody /p child. What this will do is give you the search results where custody and child show up in the same paragraph. Of course, this includes the same sentence, but it wouldn't include documents where perhaps custody was found at the beginning and child was found at the end. They would need to be in the same paragraphs. Quotes. So the operator with quotes. What this does is returns documents that contain the entire phrase found within the quotes. So, for example, attorney of record. In quotes, we'll search for the exact phrase attorney of record, the exact string. So, whereas if you just put in attorney of record, what would happen is databases might take out the of and search for attorney and record, which might give you a lot more results than what you'd want if you just search for attorney of record. This is valuable for a lot of situations where you just want to limit to that exact phrase. Say the phrase is a term of art that you want to search for just that phrase and not the specific terms within that phrase. The exclamation point. This is what's called a root expander. And it'll return documents containing any variation of the root word. So for example, you might want to search for acquire, acquisition, acquiring, those three, anything that relates to the root acquire. So what you would do is you would search for ACQUI and then exclamation point. So wherever there is found ACQUI, anything beyond that will be included in your search results. So that'll capture acquire, acquisition, and acquiring, etc. So the last one is the asterisk. So this is what's called the universal character. The computer will treat the asterisk as all possible letters. So this is useful if you want to look for alternate spellings. And one good example is in British English and American English. So you want to maybe in British English, defense is spelled differently than American English. But you want to capture both of those search terms because you're looking at both English and American cases. So in this situation, you would put DEFEN and then put the asterisk E. And it'll gather all possible spellings of defense. Same thing with realize, any kind of situation where you would want to just capture alternate spellings of words. So what we'll do, what often researchers will do, is they'll take those commonly used connectors and expanders and combine them. And by the way, there's more, but these are kind of the basic, commonly used ones. You can also use operators that will count the number of words that are in between each other. So you would search for a term kind of similar to the /s, where it's capturing a word, two words in the same sentence. Maybe you want those words to be within 5 words of each other, 4 or 3 words of each other. There are those operators. So those aren't the only ones, but they're the most common ones. And what will usually happen is you'll combine those operators. So maybe you'll have one word that's in the same paragraph of another word, which is in the same paragraph of another word, or that's within the same paragraph of a quoted phrase that you'll want to use. So you can string these together in any way possible to get to really drill down onto the search result that you really need. So then filtering. Once we have the search results that we like, we've constructed our terms and connectors really well, we run the search, and we get the search results, 10,000 results, that sort of thing. Then we do what's called filtering. And what is this? So after you get the search results, you can start to build filters or check filters or uncheck filters. So what what are common filters. So you could filter for just cases, or just statutes, or just regulations. So you have the search results, and we'll look at this in a minute, but you'll see maybe you just want to click on the regulations that contain that search result. You could also filter by jurisdiction. Maybe you only want to see the Indiana cases or the California cases or cases in another jurisdiction. You could also filter by date. So for example, if your search results, you know that you only want to capture those from 1980 to 1990, you can filter those search results to give you only the search results from that particular decade. You can also filter by secondary sources. Maybe you only want to look at law reviews, or only look at any other kind of a secondary source. You can search for cases, but not only can you search for just cases, but you can limit your search to Indiana cases or California cases or a specific circuit that you're looking for. So then what we're doing is combining kind of the process, where we have searching and filtering. So you might go, remember this is our iterative process, where we are constructing the search, and after we've constructed the search, we then use the filters. After we've used the filters that we want, we can then learn from the documents that we've retrieved to construct maybe even better search terms, or better connectors, and then using more accurate filters. So remembering that these are that this is an iterative process. So then once we've received the search results, there is a process to ensure that we are, and this is mainly for cases, looking at the best case law or most up-to-date case law. And we use this with what's called electronic citators. So on the LexisNexis side, you may have heard of Shepherd Eyes. This is one type of citator. So when you refer to shepherdizing something, you're kind of basically taking the document and looking forward in time. Has the document, and now I'm thinking of a case, has the case been overturned? Has the case been given negative treatment? Or maybe you simply just want to know what other cases have discussed this case, good or bad. We can also capture that information as well. Okay. So let's jump into some examples, and let's go on to Westlaw. So hopefully you can see my Westlaw page here. So in Westlaw, we have our search bar up here. Now, of course, this is, we're talking about searching at this point. But we also don't need to do searches, right, using terms and connectors. Here, we can just browse materials if you want, right? We can browse state materials. We can browse practice areas, right? So if we know that we're in the commercial law space, we can click on commercial law and click into some regulations and then find state regulations on commercial law. We can do that for state materials. You can look at Indiana materials. These are the state cases, trial court orders, statutes, administrative decisions, secondary sources. These are the the practice series, the law encyclopedias that we talked about in a previous video. Let's just look at one practice series. So here, remember, we can see all the practice series. Let's check out business organizations. And this will allow us to see forming a partnership, for example, giving us definition of partnership. Let's just check it out. And this kind of gives us a rundown of the area of law in partnerships, giving us some valuable citations that we can use. So there's opportunities to get what you want in this kind of, in browsing. That's what we're calling it. You can browse these materials to get to the answer that you want. But now we are using search terms to try to get to what we want. So if we just type in a search, let's just try artificial intelligence and see what it gives us. This is a pretty broad search. And what happened, of course, is I spelled artificial wrong. That was on purpose, by the way. No, it wasn't. But, of course, just like Google, it will ask you, did you mean artificial intelligence? Yes, of course I did. So what is this doing? I'm on the secondary sources here. But these are the search results. So you can see the cases, 368 cases, statutes and rules, regulations, administrative guidance, forms, brief, trial court documents. Now we have jurisdiction specific information, publication type, other publications, etc. So what we can think of is this in the center here being our kind of search results. And over here, we would want to narrow. You can also, if you have it go to overview, what it'll do is show you the first two cases. Shows you the relevant statutes and rules, shows you the relevant regulations. So it'll give you the top search results on these specific types of materials. But I'm usually going straight to secondary sources, so it goes straight to the secondary sources. You can also just drill in on cases. So look, okay, what are the most relevant cases using artificial intelligence? And you can see our search result here, artificial intelligence. Now, it's sorting by the Westlaw algorithm based on relevance. But here, you can change that. You can change it to date. Okay, this will give us the most recent case. Okay, this is December 7th. The recording of this video is December 9th, so it's a pretty recent case. You can, by most cited, you can filter that way. And that'll give you these search results. But I've learned that by relevance will get you, it's good for me. It doesn't exclude ones that I would consider relevant. So for example, it's sorting by relevance. Well, whose relevance, right? This is Westlaw's relevance. Maybe it's not my relevance, but it has done well for me. But not always. Maybe you just want the most recent case. Maybe you want to see who's citing this the most. So I wouldn't always rely on this relevance sort. We can look at statutes and regulations based on artificial intelligence. Administrative guidance. And again, you can go through and sort in the same way. Secondary sources. Okay, now if you want to filter, let's say we just want, now we're in, say we just want federal. So we click federal. Now we're down to only these items. That's for jurisdiction. You can also filter by publication type. A lot of times I am filtering for just law reviews and journals. So I only want to look at law reviews and journals. So this will give us for law reviews and journals relating to artificial intelligence. Relevance. A lot of times I go to date because I want to see what the most recent scholarship is on the subject. So I'll kind of browse the most recent scholarship. Now let's say you've done this, you've browsed, and let's say you found the document that you want. You can click into it. And of course, read the document. And or return to the list here. Now we talked about cases and shepherdizing. So let's look at this case, for example, US v. Jones relating to artificial intelligence. So when we want to see who's citing this or the citing references, if we want to see if it's good law, they'll give you this kind of flag up here in the upper left. And then here there's kind of an explanation, declined to extend by such and such case. You can also go here and click on negative treatment to see who's given this negative treatment. You can see the history of the case, and it gives you a nice little visualization. Citing references. So this is who's citing this case. And then it gives you a nice little table of authorities here. And of course, you can move back to the document. Say you like this and you want to save it, or you want to download it. Here, you would click email, print, download. You can do that. You can also save it to a folder. And these are kind of folders that you can create based on kind of what kind of research you're doing. You can create a new folder if you have a new project and save it to that folder. Up here in the history bar, a lot of times I will come back the next day and you'll be in the zone with your searching, and you've found a certain document. Maybe you forgot to save it, print it, or something. You can always look back to your search results. So you can see the documents I've opened here, the search results with my misspelled artificial. These are just kind of the search results that I've recently searched for in the documents recently that I have opened up. And we can return to the list. So let's talk about the kind of some of those terms and connectors first. So we can say artificial intelligence. What I like to do is maybe do these in quotes. And let's say you want to add blockchain. So you're kind of doing a search on artificial intelligence and blockchain. So what this will do is give you only the documents that are contain both the search term artificial intelligence and blockchain. So now you can tell that our secondary sources have gone down from a couple thousand to 510. And then our law reviews and journals, there's only 264. So you can see kind of the numbers go down here because we've narrowed our search term. So if we want it in the same sentence, so we would do this. So this gives us artificial intelligence in the same sentence as blockchain. So let's see if this yields any results. So our secondary sources go down to 315. And you can tell in the search results that artificial intelligence and blockchain are in this same sentence. This looks like a same title here. Artificial intelligence, quantum computing, blockchain. That's in the same sentence. We can do same paragraph. This was probably slightly more expanded. So you get the idea. And let's say you want within the same paragraph as legal tech. Let's try that search result. Wow. One secondary source that has artificial intelligence, blockchain, and legal tech in the same paragraph. So this gives you an idea of electronic researching. I hope this has been valuable for you. Thanks, everybody, and we'll see you in the next video.